It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report.
Hi everyone, welcome into this week's show, and on this episode, another one goes down, another one bites the dust. Over the past couple of years, we've been trying to show you as many lakes around our Southwest region as is possible. And in the 11-year history of the Southwest Outdoors Report, we've never been to this lake. Come on, I'd like to welcome you in right now to beautiful Lake Somerville. Lake Somerville is located just north of Brenham, Texas, down in the Aggie country, Bryan College Station. We're going to get out on the lake and test out the fishing. There are several different species of fish that swim in this lake, and I hope to catch several of those. But whatever happens out there today, you'll see it on a hot summertime day. And while I'm out doing that, you get to go around the region for your latest fishing reports from Gary Dallahan, Oklahoma, Cajun Phil and Kevin, Louisiana, and Brian Hughes and Bill Olson in the state of Texas. Maybe a couple of other surprises as well. It's going to be a lot of fun today, but right now let's get things kicked off back at the FSN studios. Here is Julie with your weekend planner.
It doesn't look like good news for you anglers traveling to a lake for some weekend fishing. The Salooner tables are showing poor conditions for both Saturday and Sunday. The best daytime fishing should take place between mid-afternoon on both days. Expect sunrise to take place at 6:38 with sunset happening at 8:29. And evenings will feature a moon that is 70% illuminated. We'll be right back with all of the current fishing reports from around the Southwest. And Mr. Crappie Wally Marshall joins us for this week's Whataburger Ask the Pro.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by COSTA Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Lubes, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing.
Hey, there's one. First fish right here. Swimming under the trolling motor. Should be a crappie. Oh yeah, there's a crappie, good crappie. Nothing wrong with that to get it started. Up he comes. Hey, there we go. First Somerville fish. Welcome back everybody. We're down in South Texas where the Bluebell ice cream is made at Lake Somerville, just north of Brenham, Texas. And if we were keeping slab crappie today, that would be a good slab just to get it started right there, but we're not, so back he goes. Out here in about 12, 13 feet of water, and there's a brush pile. It's right there. Ran across it with my sonar, marked it with my GPS, and circled back around and pinpointed it with a marker buoy. Pulled up there with my little ultralight rig, little Bobby Garland, show it to you there at the end, and caught a crappie first thing. Well, Lake Somerville, as I mentioned, has got several different species of fish in it. Crappie is one of the mainstays here, and they're on brush piles. Lots of man-made brush piles around this lake. Now, two ways to find those. #1, you've got to just drive around and get lucky looking on your graph. The other way is to hire a guide, and at the end of the show, I'll give you a couple of really good guides' names. They know all the brush piles. They can put you right on top of them. Not only that, they can put you on bass, white bass, and even the occasional big hybrid striper on this lake. So that kind of gets you oriented a little bit, but the lake looks to be about 5-6 feet low as we're here shooting this show, but the lake is dropping. They're letting water out down for the dreaded Dow Chemical down on the Gulf Coast, just like they are in several of the Brazos River lakes as well. That's not good news. Okay, let's get your fishing report started. From Somerville, we check on the rest of Texas, and let's start with Brian Hughes.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic, who reminds you that a wrap will keep your brand new truck looking showroom new for years to come, and it'll elevate your old truck to that new truck look. Now, we're gonna go to East Texas, where we have Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn right next to each other, very close together, but they fish completely different. First of all, on Sam Rayburn, look for the vegetation. Your bass are gonna hide in the grass and under the lily pads and around all of that vegetation that you'll find on the lake, so you can fish shallow with shallow baits, like a spinner bait, a jerk bait, your Texas rigs, and even your rattle traps this time of year. Now, next door on Toledo Bend, not so much. They don't have nearly the vegetation, you're gonna need to go to the main lake creek channels that are 20 to 25 feet deep and fish your deep diving crankbait and really dredge them down there to the channel edges. You can also find crappie on Toledo Bend at the chicken coop. Drop down about 18 to 20 feet there with your live bait and you'll catch Toledo Bend crappie. That's been this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic. Camo for your truck, not your clothes. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Forever Last Hunting and Fishing Products brings you this week's report and reminds you that hunting seasons are just around the corner. Visit a sporting goods retailer or their website for great products like their 300-pound feeder, tailgate feeder, or tree hugger. Pick up a pair of snake boots, shields or chaps, and a hunting belt or shell holder, game hanger, tripod, and much more. Visit foreverlast.com for great hunting and fishing products. Well, temperatures have soared this week as high pressures move back over the Texas coast. Anglers will want to hit the water early and late to avoid the heat of the day. Also, winds will be a consideration as to where to fish, with the upper coast once again seeing a westerly influence that could sandy up the water. Deep water will continue to be their primary areas to fish. Anglers drifting deeper shell and channels on Sabine, Galveston, as well as Matagordas bays have caught some nice speckled trout. Croaker, live shrimp, and soft plastics on heavier jig heads are all good options. Now, mid-coast anglers have caught some nice redfish in the back lakes on topwater lures early. Also, grass beds and drops in 5 to 6 feet of water have given up some solid trout with a few redfish mixed in. Behind St. Joe or Mustang Island, and from Peta Island to the Land Cut and around Bird Island Basin have all been good areas. On the lower coast, from Holly Beach up to Cullens, most spoil islands and sandbars have been good for some really big trout and redfish hitting live shrimp under a popping cork. Gaswell Flats has been another good option. South Bay has given up scattered trout, red, small drum, and mangrove snapper on most baits. This weekend, Saturday has a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides. This Sunday is a 3 tide day with 2 low tides and just 1 high. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
There's one. Another crappie, good crappie right there. Hey, we are in them. Just like that, we have found crappie. All right, that one was doing something different. There's a little tiny cool front that blew through last night, dropped the temperatures a few degrees, shifted the wind out of the north. And when it did that, it'll do something different to the crappie. A lot of times you'll pull up on those brush piles, they won't be there. Where did they go? I'm gonna answer that question coming up in a couple of minutes, and I might go fishing for something else. Now that we've had a little sampling of slab crappie, we might try to catch a white bass or whatever else swims around in this lake. Back he goes. See you, buddy, you get a freedom release today. All right, stay tuned. We're coming back to Lake Somerville, north of Brenham, Texas, home of some big old slab crappie like that. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back everybody. You've caught me in mid-fish right here. Switched gears completely, went to bass fishing, and something has hit my crankbait here and it feels like a good fish. It is a good fish. And just in this instance, I pulled my net out just for this very thing to happen, and look at this. All right, there is you a Somerville largemouth bass there, and a fine toad it is, right underneath the gill plate there, but I think I can, there we go. How about that? There's you a nice chunk right there. Well, that shows what else is in this lake. We got good largemouth bass here. I'm gonna let this one go back here pretty quick. It's summertime, we don't want to stress him too bad. See you there, buddy. I'll tell you that our 2 guide friends that are helping us out a little bit today told me at the beginning of the day that this is a sleeper largemouth bass lake. There have been several bass over 13 pounds caught, numerous bass over 10 pounds, and the college bass fishing circuit came here for one of their big tournaments and broke their all-time weight record for heaviest stringer weighed in right here on Lake Somerville. So there's a lot of good bass fishing on this lake. A lot of big flat boulders sliding off in the water. I'm sitting out here in about 13 feet of water, throwing up on those rocks at about maybe 6 feet, something like that. That's where that fish was. Okay, while I get this crankbait untangled out of this net, you get to go east, Cajun Phil over in Louisiana.
I tell you what, this week I made myself a couple of notes because I've been calling some people, finding out what's going on across the state. Let's talk with Venice, Louisiana. Talked to 2 different guides down there. Both of them said the same thing. Lots of fish being caught. It doesn't matter whether you want amberjack, big old dolphin, my, or if you want some tuna right now. Blackfin and yellowfin are all hitting. They're also catching a few big sailfish and marlin. They're going way offshore to catch that. Inland there, near Venice, Louisiana, they're catching bass and they're catching redfish, and lots of them. Captain Mike Finette's been catching big old reds on the beach, throwing a lot of topwater and plastics. Little further in, let's go to Delacroix, Louisiana. I talked to Captain Chris Pike. Chris says, Cajun, if you want redfish, fine. We'll put you on a limit every day. If you want speckled trout, fine. We'll put you on a limit of specs. And he's been doing just that. Catching either speckled trout or redfish, been having a blast this week. Captain Jack at Sweetwater Marina doing the same thing. Captain Jack's throwing live shrimp under a pocket cork, fishing about 18 inches to 2 foot, and he's catching lots of speckled trout right now. As far as the redfish, they're throwing spoons in the shallower water. Also, Captain Bill Lake down in Houma, Louisiana. Bill says, Cajun, you want to catch speckled trout? I'm catching a limit. That's a 4-man limit. Each and every morning by 8:30, 9 o'clock. He said it's simply crazy right now. Again, they're mostly on live bait, but they're having a blast. Keep in mind, Cajun Paradise Lodge and Charters, we have several openings for July, whole bunch in August, and that's a great time to come. Matter of fact, July and August is when Captain Kev and I make most of our TV shows for the following year, and you see what we catch then. So give us a call, come on down. July or August, great. September, October, November, lots of redfish and flounder at that time of the year.
Before we head out to this next quick commercial break, I'd like to do 2 things. Number 1, show you just how good a bass lake this actually is. Now, you saw the nice, solid 4 or 5 pound bass that I caught earlier on camera. Here's another one that I didn't get all the way in the boat. The sucker jumped off on me before I could even get the net in my hands. But I've only bass fished for about an hour here and hooked 2 really solid bass. Secondly, if you'd like to book a guide trip on the lake, you can contact either one of these 2 gentlemen, either Wayne Vinton or Bobby Dean. They both guide out of the Lake Somerville Marina, which is located right down by the dam. You can contact the marina to get in touch with either one of these 2 guys at that phone number you see on your screen, or we'll put both of their phone numbers up there just in case. But they have a vast amount of knowledge about Lake Somerville. You could learn a lot in 1 day's fishing if you book a guide trip with either one of these 2 lake guides. We'll be right back.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, engineered for anglers. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Nitro Performance Bass Boats, pure performance.
Got him. Ooh, that's a good crappie. All right, there's another one. Welcome back, everybody. Somerville crappie today. Another nice slab right there. If we were keeping fish, they would splash your lens just like that one did. I want to let that one go back. Now, I promised you earlier I would tell you a little trick about catching crappie under difficult conditions. Look back there. That's my marker buoy, and it's way back there. Here's the deal. We've had a little cool front come through, and in the summertime, it doesn't take much to change the fishing completely around. What's happened is these crappie have moved off these brush piles, and this will happen at lakes near you. All over our region, they'll do the same thing. A weather pattern change will sometimes move the crappie. They'll move one of 2 places. First, they'll suspend up over the top of the brush pile. So all you have to do is get over the brush, lift your crappie jig or your minnow up high, and suspended in between the brush and the surface. That's place number one. The other place they'll move is off to the side, and they'll start roaming around the outside edges of the brush piles. A lot of times they'll chase bait fish, little minnows and little shad out around there. And again, you have to follow them around and roam in open water out off the outside edges of those brush piles. Two places you can catch crappie when they get really finicky on a weather pattern change like they have today. Let's move along right now and check in with your Oklahoma Fishing and Lake Report with Gary Dollahan.
Hey, Big Old Lake Eufaula is not only a great place to play in the water in the hottest part of summer, it's also still serving up some really hot bass fishing right now too. I jumped in the boat this week with Mike Taylor. Here's what we found. First of all, water temps mid to upper 80s. Watercolor, there's still quite a bit of stain to it, even in front of the dam, which is unusual for this time of year. You can only see a bait down about 10, 11, 12 inches deep. The bass were really congregating on the main lake points, especially points that had chunk rock or flat rock coming off the points, and especially if you had a stretch of at least 100 yards both sides of the point. You had those conditions, you could catch fish on them. We caught largemouth, spotted, smallmouth, but by far the majority was smallmouth in the 10-inch to 14 to 15-inch range. We had a lot of fun doing that. Had a couple of bigger ones on to get off, but the largest fish of the day were largemouth. Had two in the 3 1/4 range, the biggest one about 4 pounds. Great day of bass fishing on Lake Eufaula. We used contrasting styles to catch them. Mike, who's kind of like the Inspector Gadget of fishing, was actually cutting a salt flicker in half, attaching a willow leaf blade to the bottom part of that bait, and then rigging it on a jig, and then using a lift and let it fall motion. He caught a lot of fish doing that. I used a finesse approach, using a prototype LaRue worm, the tattletale worm, fishing it on a 3/16 ounce Moglo jig head, casting to those points and slowly reeling it across the bottom. Both of us caught an equal number of fish throughout the day. We had a lot of fun doing it, and even picked up some mixed species as well. We had a couple of really nice channel catfish, a couple of big drum, a lot of fun. I was surprised we didn't see any schooling fish, although we saw lots of shad on top. Didn't catch a white bass, didn't catch a crappie, caught a lot of bass. A great day on Lake Eufaula. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Mercury, the official outboard of the Southwest Outdoors Report for 11 years running. By Academy, right stuff, low price, every day. And by Tracker Boats, fish the finest.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Whataburger Ask the Pro, your chance for advice from professional anglers. This week's question is from Chuck in Texas, who asks, what is the best color of light to use when crappie fishing at night? For the answer, let's go straight to Mr. Crappie, Wally Marshall.
You know, ever since I was a little boy, back night fishing with my dad using a Coleman lantern. Well, today they have green lights, white lights, all kinds of lights, submergible lights, but I like the green light that submerges down underneath the water because it does not draw bugs. And when you put that light down below, say 3 to 6 foot below the surface, it actually lights up the whole bridge that you're sitting under. I like to fish under bridges at night, and so it kind of lights everything up and the bugs don't get on you, and the crappie will come closer to the light than a regular white light.
Thank you, Wally. If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, follow the Ask the Pro link, and let us know. Now here's Barry with our winner of the COSTA Catch of the Week.
Congrats this week to Joe Martinez of Agua Dulce, Texas, showing off his 10-pound largemouth bass he caught at Choke Canyon Reservoir down at Three Rivers, Texas, south of San Antonio. If you'd like to enter your big fish in our contest, just go to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Click on the right-hand side of the page where it says COSTA Catch of the Week. Now this week, Joe wins his choice of any pair of COSTA sunglasses, and you can see all of the COSTA frame and lens styles at their website by going back to the front page of our website, clicking on the COSTA logo, and you can see everything, including this month's frame style of the month, the frames that I'm wearing on this week's episode called Galveston. Next up, it's the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, the right gear if you're planning a trip here to Lake Somerville, north of Brenham, Texas. And there are 2 basic rigs you need to catch crappie and largemouth bass. On the bottom, I love to fish with my Lew's Wally Marshall Signature Series ultralight rod and reel combo. A little spinning rig perfectly matched for each other, perfectly matched for catching these crappie here at Lake Somerville. Now, I fished for a bait. In my finger there is a Bobby Garland Mo-Glow jig head tipped with a Bobby Garland Slab Slayer body in an electric chicken color. Here's why I love this jig head. Notice this. It's the only jig head on the market. Literally hangs horizontal in the water when you dangle it right in that brush pile. It is killer for those crappie. And then right above that, we've got the Strike King Series 5 crankbait. It runs 8 to 10 feet deep, and that's perfect for the rocky banks that we fish catching the bass here at Lake Somerville. Next on Stuff That Matters, I have a question for you. What is the most dangerous outdoor activity? Answer, it's fishing. That's right. According to the latest statistics just released from 2006 through 2012, there were 238 lightning deaths in the United States, and of those, more were directly attributed to people fishing than any other outdoor activity. And so far in 2013, there have been 7 deaths by lightning nationwide, and 3 of those were from people out in a boat fishing. The moral of this story is this: being on the water is literally the most dangerous place you can possibly be during a thunderstorm. Please do not wait until the last minute and try to outrun a thunderstorm. Lightning can range out 5 to 10 miles from the core of a thunderstorm, so as soon as you see it, run the other direction, get to the marina, get to the boat launch. Always keep your iPhone or your mobile device handy if you have one. Keep a weather radio in the boat. Stay tuned in, be perceptive, and do not let a thunderstorm slip up on you. I can assure you there is no fish that's worth risking your life for. Hey, I'm glad you joined us at Lake Somerville. Turned out to be a great lake. One thing we did not show you, in addition to the crappie and the bass that we did, were all the white bass we caught. At one point, I caught 50 white bass on 50 drops with a chrome jigging spoon. Now, once again, we gave you their number and information already, but right behind me is the Lake Somerville Marina, where the 2 guides that we told you about, Wayne Vinton, Bobby Dean, work out of. It would be well worth your time to book a guide trip, get all their vast information here at Lake Somerville. I enjoyed the day, and I think you would enjoy a trip also. If you want more information, be sure and watch the members only bonus video. You can find that in the members only section of our website and also on our YouTube channel. Don't forget, we'll be on next Thursday night at 10:30. Watch our website for any last minute changes to the schedule. We'll also be on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Be sure and DVR that one because that time never changes. And don't forget, we're on Wednesday mornings on Sports South for those of you in the southeastern part of the country. And you can always get the latest episode of our show right on the front page of our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. You can click on the YouTube logo to get all the past archived episodes of our show. And click on the Facebook logo to get lots of news, video, and photos that we don't have time for here on the television shows. Until next week, from Lake Somerville, north of Brenham, Texas, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.